everyone. This is Stephanie Mann at the Safe Kids Now show, and welcome. So happy you could join us today because we have an amazing guest. He's a gentleman that I've known for at least 10 years. He was a corporate executive and he decided to become a community activist. And he has been the CEO of Street Positive. And it was about parents educating parents and kids on good relationships and how to build trust and stop the maltreatment and the trauma that kids, they have been experiencing in some of these homes, some very difficult relationships. So I am so pleased to have an opportunity to welcome to you and to welcome Terry Boykins to the Safe Kids Now show. So welcome, Terry.
Thank you.
It's so
Thank you,
good to
Stephanie.
see you.
I know this
And
is
it's
exciting.
been a while. Yeah, it's exciting to have you join me. So, first of all, tell us a little bit. And I see all those awards behind you. So, it looks like you've been a very busy guy.
That's,
And tell us a little bit about what you've been doing and what you're planning to do in the future.
oh boy, I tell you, this has been a lot. And thank you once again for inviting me. And I'll make sure I keep looking over your shoulder at that book and the
Oh, yeah.
significance that it has and what we're going to share today. Well, I've had the opportunity to create Street Positive some 20 something years ago now, which main focus was addressing the maltreatment and abandonment of children and what impact it does long term with regards to communities, with regards to financial well-being, education, mental health, and we began to really understand that prevention was critical.
Yes.
That became a part of us being able to make sure that parents understood that when you put your children in vulnerable situations, they will basically leave an imprint on society that will last forever. And we wanted to make sure we addressed that. So that was basically with the start of Street Positive. Of course, we looked at that and went into the fatherhood movement to address the importance of fathers in healthy um, children relationship. And we basically had left a motto that if you don't spend time with your child, somebody else will. We guarantee it. Whether it be the pimp, whether it
Yeah.
be the player, whether it be the drug dealer, somebody's going to spend time with your child if you opt out of that. And from that, we went into another of different ventures. One which became very popular, which was pimp proofing daughters,
Right.
daughters lives matter, father daughter relationships. Being able to talk about three components: education attainment, victimization prevention, poverty avoidance. That a father must spend time educating his daughter about life in the streets and in the sheets. That's his
Hmm.
responsibility. And
Sure
then, of
is.
course, I had the opportunity to be selected as executive director of Project Fighting Chance, which I'm honored to work with a fascinating team, which began as a amateur boxing program to work with inner city youth to make sure that they were off the streets and doing something productive and out of risk of gang life or juvenile delinquency. And what I did, I had a chance to partner with some amazing individuals, Pastor Lakota Simmons, Mr. Roy uh, Gaines, uh, Ian Franklin, uh, Tori Harris, and Roy Gandy, I'm sorry. And so these were individuals we had a chance to work with. And they asked me to come in and work on reducing childhood violence, aggression, and trauma within the
Mm.
boxing program to let kids have an opportunity to release those happy endorphins, to get that anger out of them, to get that hurt out of them. And of course, as a result of that, we became the 2020 Nonprofit of the Year for the state of California.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Goodness. Well, now, do you think boxing is a way to get out the trauma or anger that kids have? Especially boys, of course? Is that something that is very helpful to them? I had never thought of it in that light.
Many people have not because they associate it with the combativeness of the sport,
Right.
but it is evidence based that a boxing workout produces the release of happy endorphins
Hmm.
for individuals that are confronted with anger, confronted with trauma. And when you talk about not just the boys, but the girls we've had in the program that have been subjected to teen dating violence, sexual assault, abuse,
Uh,
molestation, being able to have all that pent up inside of you and to get in there with instructors that can help you move through a effective workout that you can release that anger, release that hurt, or what someone's done to you, or what you're dealing with. We also, not just with the boxing workout, but we actually had the opportunity, and I'll give a shout out to the Griffith Company in Hill, California, that were responsible for us constructing a tranquility garden for mental health that young people
yeah.
can go and sit in and deal with things and have counselors come over and talk to them. And so we're very excited about what we're doing in this respective field.
I think all of us could use a tranquility garden. We all need to decompress and find a peaceful place to sit and contemplate and, frankly, kind of get away from the world. So I think it's healthy for everybody to kind of look within themselves and kind of release a lot of these
Yes.
anxieties that most of us have. It's not just young people that have these anxieties. It's also the senior citizens who are sitting in their homes and they're feeling very, oh my gosh, stressed about the COVID. I mean, there's so many things that they see on the news. And when you're stuck with watching TV all the time, whether you
Sure.
are a kid, a teenager, an adult, or a senior citizen, uh, I we all know for a fact that this does put stress in your life. So good for you that you were able to have some of the kind of a garden for people to sit in. So I think the homeless would benefit from a garden to sit in and have people talk to them.
Well,
So
they do
go
come
ahead.
by,
Yeah.
without question. They do frequent. We do have a homeless, population that's very close to us, and we do what we can do to ensure that they have resources and they have food and meals and access to support. So it is a part of our culture, and it's something that we have to be aware that things do happen in life that people do go homeless, but we don't have to disregard them.
Well, now you've been working for many years in Daughters' Lives Matter. Are you still proceeding in that direction, or have you broadened your base, or what's going on with you now?
No, I think even with COVID, it's caused me to even focus more on Daughters Lives Matter because of the pimping and the prostitution and the increase of pornography and situations of vulnerability. But Daughters Lives Matter and pimp proofing is running very heavy in the game. We've expanded over to the UK, which is really exciting. And so,
Great.
yeah, we haven't given that up because the significance of the risk of domestic violence and sex trafficking and sexual assault on school campuses and preying on vulnerabilities within the cyberspace arena.
Well, that sounds wonderful. Now, what are you doing today? Because I know when you sent me some notes, well, let me see. We're going to take a little break at this
Okay.
point, and we are coming back to talk about what new things that Terry Boykins is doing at this point. But first, we're going to take a little, a minute break for a local commercial. So hang on and come back and join us in a minute.
Throw and Tuck. It's handmade by myself, and you only can get it here, and it's patent, and it's only here at Rococo Design. It's like a regular pillow, or you can take the blanket out like so, fluff up the pillow, open up your blanket, wrap it around yourself, and then you can lay on your sofa and relax with your pillow throw and tuck. When you're done with it, just flip it over. When you don't want the blanket anymore, you just fold it over twice again, fold it over and tuck it in the back. And there you go. You're back to the pillow throw and tuck. The Coco design.
We are back with our guest today, and his name is Terry Boykins, and he's a man of many trades. He's been involved with children and parents and senior citizens, and he has many awards to show for that. And we're so delighted to have you with us, Terry. And let's continue to talk about, what you are doing today and what do you see in the future. So, and if anybody has any questions, you can write them right here on this channel. So if you have questions, please don't hesitate to add that question to our panel here. So go ahead, Terry, and tell us more about what you're up to.
Well, today, you talk about youth, and you talk about the abuse, and you talk about a child that has been impacted by trauma. And like I said, I've got to really look at that book over your shoulder, which is critical. What we have done in this country is a travesty with regards to what we did not prepare for adequately. And that's the disrespect of our seniors. The risks that we have put our senior citizen population at is at an all-time high, particularly with COVID. You look at the responsibility, and this is why I named this Senior Safety, America's Responsibility by Any Means Necessary. We have had a significant uptick in violent crimes against senior citizens, particularly during the COVID environment. If you look at that and consider that, we have to ask ourselves, why in the world do we allow a population that has contributed so much to the well-being, the moral factor, and the fiber of our country to be so vulnerable to attack from individuals that are willing to take advantage of them? And this is something that is a big issue. This is a very, very serious issue. And I think we need to have more attention to it. And when I'm talking about seniors, I'm talking about those individuals in this country that are 65 years of age and older. A senior. What we've experienced is the amount of fear that individuals 65 years of age and older have today about leaving their homes, about taking phone calls, about being scammed, about going to the grocery store, about having them becoming carjacked. And that's kind of something bothersome to me, because I know that you have a younger population that has not been regulated or have been educated about the value that seniors have in society. And so I am addressing this not just as a advocate for seniors, but really as a proponent for parents to take another effective look about what they're teaching their kids to respect in older populations. And that comes from parenting, about respecting your elders. And we, for some reason, feel it's okay to watch a news clip of a senior walking down the street with their basket of groceries being sucker punched or hit in the back of the head, knocked to the ground, and the individual goes on about their business. And that senior has to deal with that continuous fear on whether or not it will happen again. And they, for the most part, don't have the strength or the agility to defend themselves. And many times these go unreported. And it's a shame that we are not, as a country, taking a more active role on bringing to justice those individuals that even present a threat to the senior population.
I couldn't agree with you more, and it's very troublesome to watch somebody get hit for no reason whatsoever. I mean, nobody should be hitting anybody anyway, but you have to understand, and we all have to understand, that these are people with real problems that are creating these problems. And I personally call it a spiritual crisis in the United States. We have people without a conscience that don't seem to know right from wrong, because apparently their parents didn't teach them right from wrong. And as you said, they don't respect their elders, they don't respect police, and basically they don't even respect themselves. So what can we actually do about this, Terry?
Well, let's talk about that. We want to get some solutions, but I want to put some numbers with what we're dealing with. You're talking about a population that is 65 years of age and older at 78 million people.
Wow,
That's a lot of folks.
that's a lot of people.
When you have 78 million people and a large percent of them may be at fear of what their day is going to be like, that's not good for the economy.
No.
And let me tell you why it's not good for the economy, because that population is really comprised of the baby boomers for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And those baby boomers, when we talk about what they contribute to the economy, those baby boomers have over $14.5 trillion in assets.
Wow.
You talk about retirements, you talk about pensions, you talk about real estate, and we understand that there's a mortality that exists with populations. Being the average age, you're looking at 81, 82 years old as far as life expectancy in America. But those baby boomers are also leaving their estates to well-to-do organizations to make a difference. Nonprofit organizations, philanthropic organizations, endowments. So if we disrupt them, we are disrupting a financial windfall that can actually go into this economy and provide those jobs, those opportunities, those preventive measures that has been left behind their wealth. And I don't think we really look at what these seniors are leaving us, and to put them at risk to the point where they're afraid to even answer a phone call or to trust somebody coming to their door. We ought not be having this type of situation. And so what can we do? Number one, if you have a senior in your home, there needs to be a conversation about their safety and their well-being, the reality.
Right.
And that senior needs to make sure that they have a support system of points of contact, that when they're leaving, they're going somewhere, if they're home by themselves, we need to make sure that a senior has a point of contact of their frequency with a loved one or with a caregiver that knows where they are at all times. Because
Right.
what this will do is, something out of the ordinary occurs and you don't hear from that individual, somebody needs to get over there to check to see if they're okay. A lot of seniors may be living by themselves. A lot of them may have family members that have deceased and they may not have many left. But they also may be living at distance because of the housing issue, where people have to move out of state or out of the area just to live. And that may leave that senior there, which their home may be paid for, even in an affordable life with regards to their retirement or their Social Security or whatever it is that they're having to sustain themselves financially. And so we need to make sure that there are caring individuals in societies, if family members are not available, to make sure that they're checking on that senior. That's number one.
This is where neighbors come in too.
That's correct.
People need to make contacts with their neighbors so that they feel comfortable checking on your senior citizen in the home. That would be very helpful if people just reached out to their neighbors. And I know we're in a COVID situation, but it'll get over. We need to get back to real life here anytime. So go ahead.
We do.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things, is making sure you have that support to point of contact. Number two, a lot of programs associated with youth, relative to mentoring program, after school programs. Of course, you have the Boys and Girls Clubs, you have Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts,
Mhm.
youth leagues, sport leagues. Everyone that's involved with a youth in this country needs to make sure they have a discussion about the respect you pay seniors at all times.
Right.
There is no disrespecting seniors. There is no attacking seniors for thrills so you can get increased likes or increased views on social media. This is not acceptable. And so that needs to be a foundation that's established with organizations that are working with youth. Uh, the other thing too, I think, and I'm going to go to this issue with regards to men. I grew up in an environment where men were men that basically stood up in the community and took charge and
Right.
looked out for the community and would call you and would pull your ticket if there was something out of the ordinary outside of kids just basically playing around. But I would call upon um, men to
Yes.
take a stand to make sure that they can pull a young man aside because a lot of individuals that are basically imposing their will of burglary or robbery on seniors are males.
Yeah.
I'll just be honest with
Yeah.
you. And so this needs to be a stand up for what's right, to look at pulling somebody aside. And I know in this environment, you got to be really careful because somebody will pull a gun on you so quick or try to hurt you without even consideration, which goes to a whole other youth problem we have in America. But I think this is where we've got to have men that basically go on watch in the community, checking on those seniors, making sure they
Yes.
have what they need. Do they feel safe about going to bed at night? Do they feel safe about leaving the house in the morning? Do they feel safe about being at home alone? And I think you have to have those men patrols in the community, just checking on folks, like you
Mm.
said, to make sure there's a difference. But also too to put word on the street that you don't mess with Mr. So and So's house. You don't mess with Miss So and So when she goes on. And I think it becomes a matter of reinforcing to young people about what it is that we need to do. The other thing too, I think we need to make sure is that there is some strong prosecution. If you
Yeah.
involved in a crime against an elderly person, and I know that they have right now, you have prosecutions that we can be convicted of, whether it be a misdemeanor or a felony. I think up to 4 years incarceration. But we need to have some enforcement. This can't be a slap on the wrist kind of
No.
prosecution. This has got to be a very strong message to the marketplace that this population, this is hands off. When you mess with this population and you look at what you're causing a person at this stage of life to have to live with trauma and fear
Yeah.
at this stage of life, that's just a no-no. And I think the way you basically put the word on the street is that we're going to watch you, and if you do wrong by our seniors, you will be dealt with. That is not going to be nice. And we can't be nice about this because, who wants to live in fear at 65 years of age when you've done all the things you needed to do and tried to live the best you could and, have some life left and to have to basically live the rest of your life as a senior in fear is absolutely ridiculous.
It's a pretty sad commentary that we have to tell people that you have to respect their elders. We seem to have, as a population, have done not a very good job of helping people understand that their grandparents or their great grandparents deserve respect because they've lived their lives, and you can learn a lot from them as far as wisdom is concerned. We have
Right.
an awful lot of people that kind of go into retirement when we really need them more involved in the community because they have so much to give. So, we as a population in any city should be inviting our seniors to come and maybe tutor young people or give advice or be a listening ear. I mean, we need to involve the senior citizens in community activities, not just to have fun or do a little bit of exercise, but to actually use their brains and help our communities to grow as stronger. So, yes, I think our seniors are kind of a forgotten class of citizens, and people have lost, and young people don't seem to understand why they should respect them. After all, they're going to die anyway. This is a terrible attitude to have, and we really need to step it up and talk about how important senior citizens can be to the community.
Well, you hit on a point about taking out that intellectual and that moral character from communities. And the labor force has come to understand that when you have an older, productive worker, your incident issue of conflicts are down. You have greater output. You have the ability to give more team spirit to the environment. And so we've got to really look at this because, you know, they're seniors, but these are individuals from the baby boom generation that have been responsible for building the wealth of this nation like no other generation has ever
Right.
before. And we need to make sure that that goes into the history books. When you look at the population and the age demographics, just with regards to the numbers, this is data coming from 2019 that basically, 2020, that gives the median net worth of seniors compared to the rest of the population. The average population net worth is $121,700. The
Huh.
average net worth of a senior in their late 60s or 70s is $266,400.
Okay.
That's twice the amount. And so most times you have somebody who has been tripped up on the street or um, beat upside the head or threatened with a firearm to take their vehicle, that if you really understood who they were, they would have helped you get what you were trying to take from them anyway. They would help you get that pair of shoes you needed or, get that meal that you were trying to do or get those diapers for your kid that you were trying to provide. You don't have to harm and threaten and abuse a senior who's willing to provide and put into this economy just because you want to empower yourself over somebody who's less vulnerable than you.
Absolutely correct. So many seniors would gladly give of themselves and give to help people that are in trouble. I think the people that actually harm others have huge issues themselves, anger issues that they haven't even addressed. I'd really like to see more support groups formed in our communities. I worked with the homeless for 4.5 years, and I learned a tremendous amount just listening to what the people that had problems, like the homeless. Nobody wants to be homeless, but they had abuse problems, they had anger issues, they had horrible things happen. I heard horror stories of what happened to homeless people. But if you could get senior citizens to work with, say, start a support group using maybe some of the tools in empowerment parenting to help them understand themselves better, because I think a lot of people that do awful things, whether they're looting a store, they're really hurting themselves.
Right.
They're doing a lot of personal damage when they lie and steal and hurt other people, and they're not even aware of it because they don't even know who they are. So I would really like to see people addressing some of these issues with the people that are causing these problems.
Well, we put a lot of work into curriculums for young people to learn and become educated. And I don't know why we're absent of the value of teaching people in school, teaching students in
Yeah.
school, the value of older populations. Um, there's got to be some give and take with regards to what we're trying to leave behind. And that's really at the end of the day. I think when you talk to most seniors, they're dealing with their end of life, they're dealing with their affairs being in order, they're dealing with their legacies, and most of them, are not working to have their name left on a building or a statue. They're really just trying to leave something that makes a difference in the lives of these young people. And I think
Right.
we need to really have more exposure. You asked about what else can be done. I think we need to have a voice or a platform where youth and society in general can listen to the messages that these 65-year-old plus individuals are trying to convey, and to say that we just want to make sure that you have food in your food pantry at school, and we're going to help support that. Or we're going to help support this program for you, for that program for you. Once again, you're talking about $14.5 trillion. That can do a
Amazing.
lot of good.
A lot of good, a lot of good. There's so much we could be doing instead of, and this social isolation has taken a terrible toll, not only
Yes.
on seniors, but also on children and families. Because, if a child is in an abusive family, you can imagine what it's like if they're stuck with that family 24 hours a day. Right now, you and I know that it costs a tremendous amount of money on child abuse and neglect, $220 million a day.
Yeah.
That's what taxpayers are spending. So it behooves all of us to get involved in some way to help other people in our own communities. Start where you are, in your own neighborhood, in your own community. Look around. What can you get involved in? And invite seniors to come and join you because they have, as I said, they have wisdom and they have experience. So let's engage them in the best way we can. Any final thoughts from you, Terry, about what you think needs to happen in the future?
Well, let me go to the COVID for a second. You can blame anything you want. You can always find something to blame. You can
Right.
blame COVID. You can blame, the street being blocked off. You can blame, whether you want to wear a mask, not wear a mask. You can blame anything you want. But when you don't take responsibility for securing the well-being and the manners of your household,
Mm-hmm.
that's not man-made. That's self-made within your home. And you've got to own up to the fact that there's a responsibility that whoever comes out of that door to respect another American is your watch. That's your responsibility. You can blame it on all the other things, but you got to take ownership of what you can control. And what you can control is making sure that who comes out of your household is a responsible and a respectful individual to others that live in this society.
Absolutely. If we can't help our own children to be responsible, that's a pretty sad commentary on families, because there's help out there. There are people that are willing to help you if you don't have the resources or you don't think you know how to raise responsible kids. There are books. I have a book. A lot of people have books. Mine's about the spiritual power within anybody. And we all have this power. You can be good or bad. It's a choice. It's a choice.
Correct.
But if you are abused, it's a much more difficult choice for some people, because once they're angry, it's very hard to progress and grow stronger, because anger is a blocker. You can't grow if you're angry. So anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I would like to just basically add that you can visit us at www.streetpositive.com. We've got a saying: the hourglass is running. Will your house be in order before it runs out? Because your hourglass is going to run out. The question is, what would you have done to ensure that those you leave behind will have something to move society, humanity forward, safety forward, prevention forward? It's the hourglass. And if you're not working on your hourglass, I don't know what you're doing. www.streetpositive.com. I'm Terry Boykins. Wishing you all the best.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Terry. This has been very informative, and I love what you're doing, not just with Daughters Lives Matter, but with the senior citizens and helping to strengthen your community. You are a godsend to all of us. So thank you so much. And this is being recorded so that you can anybody can make it available to, and we'll get, let's see, I'm going to put it on our website at safekidsnow.com. So if your friends haven't been able to see it today, you will be able to see it at a later date. So thank you again, Terry, for joining me.
Okay, all the best. Stay well.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye. And I'd like to mention that next week we have another amazing guest. We've had so many incredible people join us and talking about what we need to do. It's information you're not going to get on the mainstream media, because they only talk about bad stuff. We talk about good stuff and things that people can change and have the power to change. And next week, our guest will be Jeff Cabe, C-A-B-E, Cabe. And we're going to be talking about how for you to stay healthy and keep your wellness going and make your life even more prosperous than it is today. So join us next week, and we'll look forward to seeing you then. Take care. And in 2022, this is the year of peace and healing. Goodbye.
You're listening to All About Us Radio. We're live streaming 24/7, playing old school versus new school. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at AAU Media, and visit our website, www.aaumedia.com. Call us at 1-833-369-1444, extension 1, and leave us an inspirational message or request. You're listening to All About Us Radio.